Yo, my peoples, what's up? My name is Jason, and I'm from the Shelf Stories YouTube channel, and I'm here in the Dice Tower today to review It's a Wonderful World, Corruption, and Ascension. This one is the first big box expansion for It's a Wonderful World, a 1 to 5-player card drafting game. This one was designed by Frederick Gerard. I hope I pronounced that somewhat correctly. Published in English by Lucky Duck Games. So it is, this one adds 6 to 7 players and also a separate deck. So, just kind of filling out that experience a little bit. Let me go ahead and show you what it plays like at the table, and I'll tell you what I think. So without further ado, let's go to the videotape. All right, so here we are with the base game laid out, as well as the Corruption and Ascension expansion. So one of the things it gives you is materials for 6 and 7 players. So you now have 7 empires, including 2 new ones, the Hegemony of the North and the Nations of Oceania. They basically do the same thing, and like the B-sides are basically exactly the same as in the base game. Nothing too exciting there. Extra components, including this increased scoring, because the scores will go up. I'll show you why in just a second. So here is the base game deck, and here is the Corruption and Expansion deck. Cards basically look and work exactly the same, but as you could see, there's way more cards in this one than there are in this one. When you draft, you are going to draft basically like double. So like if you have a draft of 6 cards, you'll draft them like 4 and 2. If you have a draft, draft them like 8 and 4, that kind of thing. So you will always be able to play with these cards on every round. You just have fewer of them. Okay, so what do these cards look like? Let me go ahead and lay out an Empire card just to illustrate. First things first, you have Corruption. So this is production. It's pretty easy to understand. So you produce whatever it is, and you actually X out a production of whatever is pictured here. If you don't have any of that production, then that works out pretty sweet for you. You get this bonus, and you're not penalized. But if you do start producing, in this case green, then it'll X out one of that production. Second thing is these guys. Look at that. Super production, yes! They cost a little bit more, but they give you a little bit more. One of the ways in which the scores are going to increase. And gems are going to start flying all over the place. Pretty exciting stuff. So then let's go ahead. I pretend I build those as well. Another card that you're going to get, which coordinates with what I've laid out, are the duo scoring cards. So as you build cards, you are going to get this scoring condition that procs off of pairs. They don't have to be adjacent, but they have to be paired. So like this one says 1 industrial and 1 war, so 1 gray and 1 black. Pair will get you 6 points, and then it multiply. So if I play this card, I'm going to want pairs of these two. So let's go ahead and say I built that right over there. And then the last one, and this is what you're here for, right? Super points, yes! 25 points, highest scoring point card in the game. It doesn't produce anything, just goes for the points. So as you can see, once you start getting into 25-point territory, you're going to be scoring extra in Corruption and Ascension. That was Corruption and Ascension. Is this an essential expansion? So the style of expansion here reminds me a lot of Lords of Waterdeep, the Scoundrels and Skullports expansion. So Scoundrels and Skullports is like a top 10 expansion for me. And that game, that expansion just like totally raised the game on Lords of Waterdeep. Just blew it out, made it just a lot more fun, a lot more. It just kind of it felt like it completed the experience. Made it a really, really fun game. I compare the Scoundrels and Skullport to Corruption and Ascension because 2 main things are really, really similar. The first thing is the Corruption. So in Lords of Waterdeep, you got that Corruption, which was kind of negative points, but then it gave you access to more resources earlier. Completing quests earlier just gets things going a lot earlier. Here, this game does it not by negative points, but by denying you production. And the good thing about this is that it doesn't have to deny you production. You can kind of build your tableau in a way that let's say you're not going to produce any green. Well, it's like, well, you can corrupt the green and doesn't hurt you, and now you have all this extra production of something else, which is pretty neat if you could pull it off. If you could pull it off, I'll get back to that in a second. But the potential is there to kind of get ramped up, and get going a lot earlier. So that's pretty cool. Second of all, you need somewhere to go with all those extra resources that you're producing. So that's the other thing that Scourge the Skullports did. It added 25-point quests, big quest, huge point scorers, take lots of resources, and just kind of like come to that culminating moment, like boom, I complete my huge quest. Same thing here. You get those big cards that you might need multiple production phase in order to fulfill them, but when you do, pow, it's transformative for your point scoring. Your points will go up in this game, not unrecognizably so. Like it isn't just going from scores in the 50 to 60 to like 300, but you will notice that the scores will go a decent amount up in this game. So, is this expansion as impactful as the Lords of Waterdeep one was? Not quite for me, because you might not get the extra corruption, the extra resources, the extra production that you need. The cards have to come in, the cards have to line up, and in obviously in a draft, you have a little bit of control, but then people can kind of see what you're going for and say, we're not giving you that. So it might be that you don't actually get the increased production that you're going for because either it wasn't dealt to you, like if you're playing the solo, you just get playing the cards, or if you're playing the multiplayer, someone just might take that away from you. So, you're just kind of stuck with what you got. So I don't know that it unlocks like increased production, increased like stuff to do earlier, like in Lords of Waterdeep. The point scoring though that's pretty satisfying. It's nice to get a 25-point card. Nice to get that duo card that lines up with your strat and everything. So that's all good. 6 to 7 players. I should probably comment on that. I don't love this game at 6 or 7 players. I'm glad that it was kind of reserved for an expansion and not like added to the base game, kind of adding to the cost of that, even if just a little bit. I think that this game has a little bit more AP than like a Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders, once you learn it, it's like, okay, I'm going to just place the card or dump the card. Here, it's like, okay, I can place this card, but then am I going to get the cubes in? And if I place this card, then I can't put the resources in this card. Then this card, I'll have to discard this one to get the resources on my player board. And it's a lot more to think about. It's not terrible, but it's just enough to add, 5-10 minutes to a game. It's just like one person will always kind of think a little bit harder about their turn than others. So it might take a little bit long. Game might overstay its welcome. But if your group is into it, there's no difference between like 4 and 7 players because it's simultaneous actions. If the group is into it. So then what's my kind of final thing here? This is what you get. Besides 6-7 players, this is what you get. You get a deck of cards. I'm not the hugest fan of when a deck of cards comes in a big old box like this. This box isn't big, but for a deck of cards. And the MSRP is $32.99, which is a deck of cards worth $32.99 to you. So obviously I can't make that determination. I just want to point that out because that's what you're getting. If you love this game, this expansion integrates very well. It isn't a lot of extra overhead. The cards work the same, and it adds enough, in terms of the corruption and in terms of, bigger scores and all that kind of stuff, more decisions. It does add more decision because you have to kind of match up the corruption and, slant yourself towards the bigger cards. It definitely improves the experience. It does. And you feel it. You feel the extra production. I just wanted to kind of flag the cost issue because at the end of the day, does it add $32 worth of game? You're going to have to make that determination for yourself. All right, so final thoughts, time for Corruption and Ascension. We're going to go 7 out of 10, seal of approval. It acts the same as Scoundrels and Skullport, but it's not always as impactful. You may not get the corruption that you need, or the corruption mechanism into increased resources that you need. You either may not get it dealt to you in a solo, or you have the your opponents kind of deny you it, which kind of leaves you with the base game experience, or you just might not get dealt or whatever it is, the proper cards. So it's not always as impactful as I maybe want it to be. Often enough, though. Let me not say it's not like it disappears. You will have, very often kind of feel the increased scoring, the increased production, all that kind of thing. I guess the price also has do a little bit to do with the rating. A little bit, because like at the end of the day, if you love this game, you're probably gonna want this. And you just kind of like, you decide for yourself whether that's a fair price for what is basically a deck of cards. But if you love it, go for it. It's awesome. All right. So if you like my content, if you like what you heard, please go ahead and visit me at my YouTube channel, Shelf Stories. Shelf Stories has interviews and other gaming content. It also has my Shelf Help series, where I share tips and tricks on how to become a happier gamer and a happier person from a psychotherapist perspective. So this is Jason reminding you, if you can change your mind, you can change the world. So until next time, later everybody.